Owner finance can help you build cash fast, but it can also destroy you if you don't have a plan for the cash flow. I want to help you here because so many people think that owner finance is the answer, or like sub two, or like going out there and doing a deal on terms. I would agree. We have people that we work with that do owner finance on the regular. They teach people, they do a great job, but they have a plan for every single deal that comes through their door and what the cash is going to look like. Here's the benefits, right, of doing the owner finance deal. You could get money up front. You could get the money down. Sometimes you could get more than a rental or a lease option. If you're doing it on terms and you're selling on terms, you could get money up front. You could get cash flow during the deal, and then you could sell on the back end. So it's like you have multiple chances to make money on a deal. But at the same time, if you don't go into the deal knowing what's my threshold, like what is my floor, like how much cash do I need from these deals, and then on the back end, like how much do I need in the income on the day-to-day or like on the month-to-month? Like what is the cash flow that I need on a monthly basis? Then on the back end, what do I want to be able to sell this for? Or what am I selling? And like what do I, as a business owner, what's that cash burden and that cash hit that's going to, that I'm going to get maybe down the road if I don't know from the very beginning? So owner finance, the dangerous part of owner finance as well too, is not just about, okay, what if I buy something subject to and they call the loan? Or the other dangers of owner finance, maybe you don't set up the terms correctly and the paperwork's more complicated, and someone takes you to court, or someone falls on the property and they don't know like who's the owner. But if you're the bank basically and you're selling these properties on seller finance, or even acquiring them on seller finance, it's knowing and making sure that you have the right cash projections, the right cash flow that you really need. Because a lot of people, they just go into owner finance and they think, well, if I take this deal down, and even if it's a slim deal, I'll wait out the cash flow, or I'll wait out the equity, or I'll wait out like all this stuff, and they'll be paying, the person that's in the property is going to pay down the equity for me. And then one day I'll have enough, wiggle room in order to get some cash flow. Or maybe if they ever cash me out completely, or if they, and whatever it might be, I don't want you to go into a situation of owner finance where it's already a little bit more of a hairy situation in the owner finance world, and then be unprepared on the financial side. This is where I'm a one-trick pony here, but profit first and having a very clear plan for your cash, knowing exactly where every dollar is going. It's the same thing, even for owner finance, knowing, do you have enough money to pay yourself? Do you have enough money for the taxes if you're going to have a tax liability? For profit or reserves, making sure you have a reserve account. Do you know where your money's going? Like to be able, if you're growing and scaling for payroll. But owner finance can afford you cash, and it can afford you cash fast, but it can also destroy you if you don't have the right systems in place, whether it's from the contract point of view, the cash point of view. I'd also say too, on the book end of things, like the QuickBooks side, oh my gosh. I personally, I remember this years ago where I had to input an owner finance transaction, and it was one of the most complicated things that I had run across in my short time here, like in the finance world, because I was in my early 20s and I went to the CPA. I'm like, I do not understand this, because that one entry, someone paid us a payment from owner finance. So in QuickBooks, that's usually like if it's a rent payment, there's income, and it's like, there we go, it's rental income. But for an owner finance deal, it's way different. It's like you have to make sure that if they're paying off a mortgage for you, or if you're paying off a mortgage that you have on that property, or if you set up a note and mortgage for that person to be able to pay down, that one entry into QuickBooks can be split out into like 5 categories because they're so complicated depending on how you bought it. Did you buy on terms, then sell on terms? Then do you know how much you're really making on that deal and like from the cash flow? Do you know if you're able to go out and do more of those terms types of deals? Do you know exactly where every dollar is flowing? So I just remember that it's super complicated on the back end. So here's also a plug for making sure you have the right bookkeeper that understands owner finance, whether it's you're acquiring or selling or both. On owner finance, I want you to have the right people in place. They need to know real estate. But honestly, they need to know owner finance, and they need to know that seller finance, or whatever, land contracts, all the different things that you can do that are creative deal flow and creative deal structuring. Have they done that before? Can they explain to you like how to input a transaction like that, or how they would because you might not even know if it's right, but do they even have the wherewithal or the knowledge to be able to say something like, okay, I know that it's going to be split up into transactions. It's really going to depend on how you bought it or how you sold it. So owner finance can be really tricky in lots of different ways, but I want you to know that at the end of the day, when it comes to cash and cash management, it's really the same. It's really understanding, what do I make, spend, and keep? What am I really making off these deals? Where am I spending the money, in order to get more of this deal flow? And then what am I keeping at the end of the day? And that's why profit first to me is that answer to make sure that you can keep more of what you're making. And I want you to have that even if you're selling on owner finance. The key thing to really track on owner finance is everyone on time? Are they paying? But not only that, but how about the mortgages? Do you know how much equity you're gaining each year inside the properties that you own on owner finance or that you've sold on owner finance? And being able to really understand, is there a day that you wake up that maybe that you have a free and clear portfolio because they've been paying it down, or do they own it if you've held it for 30 years? It's being able to understand, if you go into the owner finance or if you go into more of that creative type of deal structuring, do you understand the cash and the cash management point of view? What's really yours versus what is not? Did you get a deposit up front, or did you get a non-refundable payment? And that is yours that you can actually use and utilize and be able to have as part of your cash flow. Because if you don't structure it the right way and you don't call it the right thing, someone could come after you, sue you, and then take that money back and then take a lot more than just that upfront money that you took from someone in order to get that money in the door. So now I don't want you going out there and being scared of doing owner finance. You just need to know exactly what you need to put in place. But at the back end, you need to know where every dollar's going, where it's flowing, making sure that you can realistically understand. I just got $1,000 from this owner finance person. Out of that 1,000, how much could I realistically put in my pocket? For lots of people, it's minus the mortgage that you have to pay, minus everything, minus taxes, and then what's that cash flow at the end? But really understanding then how many years did you build that owner finance deal? Are they ever going to pay you off? Because if they're going to pay you off in 5 to 10 years in a balloon payment, are you going to be prepared for your potential tax hit from there? And knowing okay, you might get a big chunk, but how's that going to be handled from the tax side? Or if you sell on land contract up front, are there going to be phantom taxes? And going into all that, that's a lot more than I need to go into right now. But having a good financial team that understands these types of transactions are going to be your lifeline, because I can guarantee that if it took you a lot of time to understand how to even close a property on owner finance, it will take you 10 times as long to understand what's happening behind the scenes of the finances on owner finance. That's why the best advice I could give you is really look for people that understand the owner finance or the creative side of real estate. Don't just go with some virtual assistant out there overseas that has never done a real estate deal or doesn't understand real estate, but they were a good price. Make sure you get someone who understands real estate investing, and especially if you're doing a more advanced or a more complicated type of transaction, because then you need not only the bookkeeping to be handled, but you need the taxes, and you also need the day-to-day management handled as well, and you need someone who understands that. Now, of course, we understand all of it, and we've done it, and that's where I've been part of over 800 deals, and lots of those we did on terms or lease options or seller finance or, a fix and flip became a rental, and it's being able to do creative things with the deal flow. So if you need someone, we can at least talk about it. We can at least know where you're coming from, but I want you to be able to ask those types of questions. Do you understand owner financing? Do you understand land contract? Do you understand creative deal structuring? That's what the key question that you need to ask a bookkeeper, CPA, CFO, if you're going to go that route and get that help on that side. But at the end of the day, if you set a profit first, you'll at least know, where's my cash? What am I making? What am I spending? What am I keeping from the owner finance deals? Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode gave you clarity or a new perspective, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. If you're ready to apply what we talked about today with real guidance and accountability, visit profitrai.com to schedule a free discovery call with us to create your path to financial clarity and freedom.